You have the flag, JK?
I do.
All right, good. All right, so can everyone please rise for the pledge?
Okay, let's see.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of the United States of America
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the town board meeting of June 15th, 2020. We need a motion to open the town board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. So moved. We'll go. I don't know why the moment of silence is on there, but I guess we'll have a moment of silence for those who passed away from COVID and any of those who passed away in our town recently. Okay, thank you. Just a couple of quick updates from the county that came through today. So this weekend was the first 2 consecutive days with 0 deaths from COVID. We had 1 day last week, I think it was Thursday, and then we had 2 this week. Hospitalizations, they're down to 41 people in Orange County hospitals. We're almost a week into phase 2, and if the metrics keep declining, it looks like we will get to phase 3 next Tuesday, and then the phase 4 would happen on or about July 7th. So that's a good thing. The sales tax numbers for the county sales tax numbers are down 10%, which would probably reflect similar to most municipalities based on what the county's numbers are. So to me, that's a good thing, because it was 1 month, it was April, we were down 24%. And May had a small uptick, I believe. So all in all, if we could get through it with a 10% loss in taxes, I think that's a positive going forward. On to public hearings. Anyone like to make a motion for the continuation of the public hearing of proposed Chapter 57 of the Town Code?
I'll make that motion. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Sal, and seconded by Councilman McGinn. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. So move. Now, I know we have Max with us. Max Stack, our planners, with us. Thank you for joining us, Max. Appreciate it. Highway Superintendent Attorney, thanks for joining us. So Mike or Max, if you want to talk about Chapter 57.
I'll defer to Max, let him just, explain the process of where we are and what we are going to do this evening.
Sure. Thank you, town board members, Mr. Supervisor. Tonight, before you have for consideration a draft of the final generic environmental impact statement. Essentially, the FGEIS is the final analysis, if you will, of the potential impacts that adoption of the CCR could have, and looks more intensively at its application on the test site off of Red Schoolhouse Road. The EIS, if you will recall, the process rather of preparing the EIS began in September 23rd of 2019 when the town board declared that the CCR could result in potential impacts. We did a scope back in October and November of 2019. You looked at a DGEIS in early February of 2019, and you required some amendments and found a document complete in March of 2020. You held a public hearing on March 25th, continued it to April 6, 2020, and extended the public written comment period to April 20th of 2020. We've gone through the comments received on the DEIS, which disclosed a list of potential impacts that could occur. We've gone through those comments. We have, based on those comments, recommended a couple of changes to the language of the CCR, but by and large, it is largely unchanged. We have responded to all those comments. And those comments need to reflect the lead agency's opinion on the action, the perspective on the action, because this document will become the basis for your finding statement, which you will consider at your next meeting. And that will essentially precede your decision on whether or not to adopt the law. So I provided you the FEIS on March 29th of this year. And I'm sorry, May 29th. May 29th. If you have any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to address those. But at this point, if you agree with the answers in the FGEIS, and you were to declare it as complete, the next step in the process would be for me to work with the town clerk to distribute that document to all the involved agencies. They would have no less than 10 days to go over the responses. They could provide feedback to the board. There's no requirement for a public hearing, and it's discretionary if they wanted to provide comment. You should consider those comments for no less than 10 days. And after that, during that time, my firm has already started preparing the finding statement. So we would be able to provide you with a draft finding statement in that time, which you could consider adopting at your next meeting. So those are really the next steps. If you believe that the FEIS has adequately been prepared, you basically accept it and instruct the clerk and me to work together to file it and distribute it. And that's where we are.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Max.
Welcome.
So we seem like we're ready to approve this.
Well, I haven't read it because I was looking for a hard copy. And Mr. McGinn, Councilman McGinn, I had left you a phone message last week. I don't know if you got it, but I haven't seen a hard copy of this FBIS. Do we have a hard copy or is it just online?
It was just online, Mary.
Okay.
I don't think hard copies were distributed to any of the board members. It was just I just reviewed it off the email. That was online in the that was sent to us by Max back on the 29th.
Okay. Maybe then a question for Max. Tracy Hsu with the Preservation Collective had sent some very astute comments regarding the senior housing. If you could just go over briefly, the FEIS is different now compared to what the draft copy was in regards to senior housing.
Certainly. So we did receive a number of very salient comments from that particular commenter, especially as regards the easements and the sort of who those easements are in benefit of. And we did incorporate several of them into, or recommended incorporating several of them into the CCR law. I'm looking up right now, in particular, which ones those are. If you'll give me just a moment, I can bring them up here.
While you're looking at that, hey, JK, how many people do we have online?
Right now, there's 9 attendees. One is a phone call in lister. We have 1 hand raised, and the rest are 8 online.
Okay, thank you.
And while I'm looking through this, just to clarify, this document is not subjected to a public hearing, unlike the DEIS. This is essentially the responses to the comments that you received on the document at the public hearing. So there's no need to have a public hearing on this document. Okay, so here's the suggested modifications specifically that we are suggesting in response to her comments are that the open lands that are created as part of the CCR mapping be protected by a conservation easement held jointly by the town and a reputable land trust, or fee dedication to the town with conservation easement held by a land trust. So the previous language said it needed to be a conservation easement held by the town or the land trust. So this would require that the land trust be involved regardless of whether the town holds easement or fee ownership of that land. The next one was that the conservation easements terminate any development rights that and rights of that land, and prohibit transfer of those rights to any other property after development. That modification of any conservation easement require unanimous consent of the town board and unanimous consent of the land trust governing board, and that such modifications cannot confer private benefit or inurement not included in the original easement. And here a lot of concerns were about basically what would happen in the future if a town board wanted to act in a way contrary to the way this board wants to act in terms of preserving the open space.
And you said it has to be unanimous, correct?
It has to be unanimous by both the town board and the land trust governing board.
Okay.
The way it
That's
will
good.
be.
I got a comment at this point. All of this applies only if a floating zone is imposed on a particular area, correct?
Correct.
Because I'm just speculating at this point. Someone can come in, purchase the property. It does not necessitate. Now, what this does is, I want to make this clear to the public at large. What this is a guideline, should the floating zone be used by a builder, that all of this is in place. That it does not necessitate that there is anybody at this time that is looking to build at this time.
That is correct.
Yeah, Rick, it's a zoning option that the town board would have to take under advisement with all the requirements that are in the local law
Sure.
that would have to be met prior to even coming before the board.
Right,
You know,
so I'm just
having
trying
a-
to make that
That's
clear to
having
the
a master
public.
development plan and everything. So yeah, buying a piece of property does not give someone automatic rights to the CCR. it's still, again, they have to, there's a lot that they have to do prior to coming to the board, the town board. And then once the town board does its due diligence, and if they do decide to land that zoning, it then goes to the planning board for their, for site plan approval and all the other
I thought it would be going to site,
duties.
to planning
Planning.
previously.
Right.
Before
So it doesn't
it
cut
comes
out
to the board.
planning. It doesn't, all the things that were asked and answered are, have been covered. There's no, just jumping back real quick to the modifications based on the Preservations Collective. I mean, that's about as ironclad a commitment that you could possibly have to keeping the conservation lands forever preserved. I mean, there's not a lot more than you can do other than having a state law enacted to make it state park land. So it's very strong language that the planner has put in there to ensure that future town boards do not tamper with this plan that we put together.
Sure. If they use that floating zone.
If they use that floating zone, right.
Right, I'm just trying to make a point clear.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
The
that.
fog, with everybody else, even myself included. No, we don't have anybody yet to build that. Now, if they choose to use this plan, it saves them time and money. Because then they don't go to the planning board, have to put in approval,
No,
But that's with the test case.
They still have to go to the planning board.
even with this.
Yeah,
They go to the planning board, but a lot of the discretionary decisions are made by the town board.
Okay,
So they're going to say, before you give them the zoning, they're essentially going to show you exactly what they want to build.
well, I want to be careful about that because as a town board member, okay, and for the town board, I'm not thinking today, I'm thinking for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Understood.
I don't want the town board to be the planning board. I want to be able, or see the town board, if need be, step in and say, no, this is the plan we have. It's going to be used as a template. If they're going to use anything, if they want the floating zone, this is what they have to use.
Well, they've got to present a master development plan, the MDP, to the town board prior to even going anywhere with it. And again,
And that's
none of this precludes them, other than the test case that Max has based the DGIS and the FEIS off of. That anyone else that comes in is going to have to do a full secret assessment and everything that goes along
With any type of normal.
Right, with any type of development, exactly.
Sure. I'm just trying to make something clear to people
Yeah.
in general
Well, that's good.
are not on the inside watching this develop.
Yeah.
Important
Yeah.
that-
I think since we've been going through this and it has been a number of months, I think it's there hasn't been a question asked and answered that pertains to this zoning. And most of what I've seen, speaking to members of the community, has been overwhelmingly supportive because it answers a lot of needs that we have in this community, and it's a very unique answer to some of the
a particular
problems.
issue.
Yeah, well, particular issue, but also to future. It gives flexibility for economic development and other things that boards will want to achieve, and those things are kind of narrowly locked into what the local law prescribes.
Right.
It's not you can't say, hey, I'm going to throw an amusement park in there because that's not in the local law.
Right.
So, so no, Legoland's not moving to or
Please.
no concerns about that.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask Max another question?
Certainly.
Traffic. I had concerns about Reynolds, and I know that's in the village's comments as well as some of the residents' comments. So again, I apologize. I was looking for a hard copy. If you could just give us a brief synopsis of what the changes are in regards to traffic, specifically on Reynolds and Orange Turnpike.
Right. and that was a concern. I understood very well your concerns, and I reached out to our traffic engineer on that matter. The issue at hand with the intersection of Reynolds and Orange Turnpike has to do with the relative volume that is traveling on Orange Turnpike, the county road, versus the amount of traffic on Reynolds Road. And whether or not, by virtue of the delay increasing for those left turn movements of people leaving Reynolds Road trying to make a left turn onto Orange Turnpike, which I believe is the problem movement now and in the future, is that warrants for the signal will not be met. And in most cases, a jurisdiction will not allow for a signal to be implemented unless those warrants are actually met. And I have understood this to be a matter of liability, where if you put a traffic light that is not warranted, it could, and something were to happen, that could expose the county to liability. So the language that we've used in the study here, and again, I'm trying to find the particular response. Here, okay. So the eastbound approach on Reynolds Road will degrade from level of service E and C to F and D during the weekday PM and Saturday midday peak hours. The 95th percentile queue length, so that's pretty much the worst case scenario, on the eastbound approach will increase from 105 feet, which is 5 vehicles waiting to turn, to 180 feet, or 9 vehicles waiting to turn, after the construction of the project. So that will be during weekday PM conditions. Typically, you know, that's a 5:15. You're trying to make a left turn from Reynolds onto Orange Turnpike. You might be as much as the 9th vehicle in line to do that. The increase in queue length can be safely accommodated on Reynolds. There's no problem. You're not blocking any traffic movements. It works. It is an inconvenience. The installation of a traffic light could reduce that. There's no question. But the signal warrant analysis would need to be undertaken in order to determine whether or not the county would allow it. And so that's basically where we are.
I'm very confident, Max, that if the town tells the county that we really need this light for that location, that we'll get a light there. And my feeling is that probably that is going to need to be something that will be done down the road.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I just
no, and that's
yeah.
fine. And were a traffic light to be required as a result of this project, it would be something that the applicant would be required to fund.
Right. And that would be something also that the planning board could require that they do as part of their site plan review, correct?
Yeah, the town could impose it as a means of getting their zoning.
Right.
You could say, in order for us to give you this CCR zoning, you have to put in a traffic light or fund a traffic light if warrants are met. And then the applicant at that point would go and do the warrant analysis, and if they could meet the warrants, or if you, like you said, if the town, even if it doesn't meet the warrants, the town could request it of the county,
right,
for them to put it in.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No, all right, we can do, right now, we're gonna go into public comment.
Yep.
And so what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna start with the phone call and listener. I'm gonna call in your name and allow you to talk and just let us know whether or not you wanna make a comment. Or you can also electronically raise your hand and I will call on you. So I'm gonna start with the phone number ending in 031.
Ward
Any-
Brower, Providence.
Do you have it?
My
any com-
understanding, you're not having another public hearing.
No, Ward, this is just the planner's response to the DGIS and the questions, including the many that you raised during the process, to the answer to those questions.
Okay, and in response to that, when will we see the responses to my questions?
So if the town board acts to find this document complete tonight, this document would appear on the town board website within a day or two at most. At which point it would be available for you to review, and if you had any comments, you could provide those to the board in writing.
Okay, so we have to provide it in writing, our comment.
The next public hearing, well, there won't be another
There won't
public
be
hearing
one.
on the law. The next public hearing that might happen would be if anybody comes in and actually wants to apply for this zoning, they would have to go through a public hearing.
The next, Ward, just so you understand, the next step in this process, so let's say we did approve it tonight, the next step would be adopting the local law, which would be done at the next meeting.
My concern is that I haven't seen the reaction to my comments, so I don't know if I have a further reaction. That's my concern.
Well,
Oh.
like the planner was saying, they will be, if we approve it tonight, then those comments will be available online. And if you need a printed copy, I'm sure we can get one at Town Hall since the library is still closed until the phase 3, I believe. So, but we can make a printed copy available if you need to see it. I mean, if you want to see it, of course.
I'd like to see a copy, printed one, if it's possible.
I'm sure we can get one out to you there, Walt.
Thank you.
Okay, is that all? All right.
Other than, as I said, I don't know what my response will be because I haven't seen the response from Max.
Okay,
Well-
all right.
So Ward, you'll be able to make public comment until such time as we close the adopt the local law and it's finalized.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so next up we have Mr. Berkowitz.
Urkel.
Okay. All right. Mr. Berkowitz, do you have any comments for the board?
You have to
No.
unmute yourself, sir.
No, thank you.
Okay.
You got to unmute yourself.
You gotta hit the mute button at the bottom. So what is it, to the left?
Or depress the space bar and hold
There
it
you
down.
No,
There you
no,
are.
thank you. Thank you, no.
Okay.
Hold it down.
All right.
Oh, he said no, thank you. He's good, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank
So,
you.
okay.
Okay.
So, next up, we have Mr. Fusco.
Hey, Dan, unmute yourself.
How's that?
Good.
Good.
No, I'm here for the water issue. on
Okay.
Old Country Road.
All right.
Stand by. It's coming.
Okay.
It's coming.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fusco.
All right. Mr. Prater,
That's
Yeah, man.
for
He's here for the
water issue too? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here for the water issue.
All right.
stand by, Mr. Frater.
Mr. Bickle, Jacob Bickle.
That's water also.
Water issue as
Water.
well.
Okay. And we have Lebby Bickle. Is this water?
Water.
also?
Water,
as well.
water.
Okay. Lorraine.
Hello.
Hello, Lorraine.
Hello, Lorraine.
Yeah, my comments are just, I look forward to reading your comments to our comments. Okay, thank you.
They'll be available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and last up we have Michelle Dixler.
That's also
Water.
Water.
Okay.
okay. So John, do we want to read the resolution for the adoption? We're accepting the FEIS.
If you're gonna accept, if the board, I would close the public hearing if you want, and then adopt the resolution. Or if you're gonna continue the public hearing, make that motion first and then adopt the resolution.
So let me ask you this, John, just to clarify, do we have to close the public, when we close the public hearing, we're basically then moving to the next step to adopt the law?
First you adopt the, what's in front of you today, and then the next step would be to adopt
Right.
the local law. Yes.
Okay. So, did you want to make a motion, Mike?
I'll make a motion that we keep open the public hearing on the chapter 57 till the next meeting on July 13th.
On the second.
For discussion. Now, John, just to clarify, if the public hearing is kept open, we can still act on the document tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. But yeah,
Yeah, okay.
once
Yeah,
once
I
you
mean,
close the public
basically-
hearing, then you can adopt the local law.
Right.
So sorry if I butchered
Okay,
the
so
process there, but
All right.
you can adopt the resolution in front of you tonight, and you can keep the public hearing open if you choose to tonight and continue it, or you can also close it. Once it's closed, then you can adopt the local law.
So can you close it and adopt the local law on the same evening?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
Right, so-
call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All right.
Pardon, aye.
Gancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. So moved.
Thank you all.
I will, thank you, Max. Appreciate you being here.
Have a good night.
I'm gonna make
Right.
a, I'm gonna.
Go ahead, Tony.
No, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the resolution that I'll read if no one else wants to read it regarding the acceptance of the FEIS.
Go ahead.
Mike,
It's all you, McGinn.
Okay. I'm going to skip the whereases unless there's a reason to read those. John, are we good without the whereases, or should I go through all those?
You can read after the now, therefore, be it resolved.
Okay. So now, therefore, be it resolved that Section 1, all whereas clauses are hereby incorporated by reference as those set forth in full herein. Section 2, the final EIS is hereby accepted by the town board as completed and sufficient in the scope for public review and comment in the form presented to the town board. Section 3, the town board hereby directs the planner and the town clerk to work in cooperation to prepare, file, and publish a notice of completion of the FEIS and file copies of the FEIS with the chief executive of the town, the lead agency, all involved agencies, and any person who requests a copy. Section 4, the town board hereby directs the town clerk to maintain the notice of completion and FEIS for public review at town hall during normal town business hours. Section 5, the town board hereby directs the town clerk and the town planner to send a copy of the FEIS to the Department of Environmental Conservation. Section 6, the town board hereby directs and authorizes the town planner to publish a notice of the FEIS in the Environmental Notice Bulletin. Section 7, the town board hereby directs the town clerk to publish the FEIS notice of completion on the town's website. And Section 8, the resolution shall be effective immediately. The question of the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a roll call vote. which results as the follows. Mr. Supervisor? Call the question?
Yep, call the question?
Bingham abstain.
Before you go any further, who seconded that? Mike made the motion. Who seconded it?
I'll second it.
All right, call the question, Tony?
Well, go ahead, Mary, go ahead, again.
Bingham abstain,
Can I ask why?
because
Didn't read it.
like I said, I was looking for a hard copy and I only asked Max maybe one-tenth of the questions that I probably have in my mind. So I'd rather just abstain so I can go with a clear slate next meeting.
Go ahead, Rick.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so moved. All right. I'm gonna jump around here real quick because Max is on with us, so I'm gonna go to item 4.5 first. I will make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing for the proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
again, I,
Okay. So moved. Any other comments on that, Max?
No, not as of yet. I'm gonna, shift gears back to that as soon as we get past this next meeting, get the findings to you. I've been spending as much time as I could muster on trying to get through the environmental impact process on the
Okay.
CCR.
do we need to authorize that, for you to do the finding statement, Max, or is that included in the resolution?
That's included
In the resolution, okay, just want
in
to
the
make sure.
current proposal, right?
Right, gotcha.
Correct. And then with regard to Article 14, that's just part of the on-call. So, and it really, I think where we left it at that point was that I really needed to take a different approach. And so I didn't want to sit down and sort of do a little bit here and a little bit there. I just wanted to be able to devote the appropriate time that I need to get you a revised draft and go through that process efficiently.
Okay. All right. John, anyone
Yes.
want to speak?
Okay, we're gonna go through the roll call again. I'm gonna start with phone number ending 031. I believe that's Ward Brower.
Ward Brower.
Ward Brower, yes. My concern is it's taken a long time to get where we are, and we're not nowhere near the end of the operation. What is in the long years' time it's been, beyond my concern about us property owners who are been disenfranchised in a way because our 40,000 square feet builder's acre is illegal, and we wanted a grandfather clause on that. What is the other stumbling blocks in that legislation that's so involved it's taking so long? That's my concern.
Well, Ward, I mean, we received comments from some folks on the ZBA and the planning board, so we have to consider those. And again, as the planner said, doing the zoning work for the CCR is pretty much all encompassing. I know he's been working on it. People in his office have been working on it. It's a pretty involved process. And the other thing is, I mean, we really have not received any community, I don't want to say complaints, but people saying, hey, you need to change this because I'm trying to sell my property or something along those lines. So, we got to take everything into totality and look at it before, and we can only really do one major thing at a time. And I commend the planner for the effort that he's put into getting this done in such a timely manner. It's a pretty tight, been a pretty tight time frame.
Well, how we got into this mess is my investigation. I looked at since 1954, the grandfather clause, and I have 5 different renditions of zoning change, I believe, 90s and a couple in the 80s, 70s, and all of them, none of the many consultants that worked on these master plans and comprehensive plans have apparently ever looked at the grandfather clause, because the verbiage is exactly the same. And every one of those had that flaw that if you didn't apply or inform the building inspector within 6 months after passage of the current zoning upgrade, then you were non-conforming illegal. And that has not changed. I'm concerned that was an oversight, and it's been oversight by many different planners over the years. It has never been changed. And the flaw in that thing was, it had been one thing if most residents do not know, or did not know, I should say, when these zoning laws took place, that they had to do this requirement within 6 months. So they never did it. So they were all basically illegal, non-conforming. And you created a lot of them over the years. And that should have been dealt with many times and hasn't been. That's my concern, has been my concern for years now.
Well, you know what, Ward, I believe that we have discussed this with respect to the grandfather clause. And I think Mr. Nugent told us we were unable to do that based on his assessment. So, and I don't know if Max, you want to comment, or Mike?
Yeah, I think, we took an attempt looking at what was done in other communities in terms of really dealing with the particular issues regarding acres and lot width that came about with the last zoning amendments, but also modernizing the grandfathering provisions to meet sort of a widely accepted version that's used in a lot of area communities. And the feedback that we got wasn't necessarily the relief from the lot area or lot width requirements that had changed recently with the 2017 zoning amendments. The issues were really in the overall law and a feeling that it sort of took too much away in terms of jurisdiction from the zoning board, and that it could result in too permissive of a structure, and that they'd like to take another look to allow for those issues to still be dealt with sort of through a non-conforming provision in terms of lot width and lot area, but to also continue to require a board review for more significant non-conformances than the first draft that we had come up with. So really it's about taking another shot to the town board and the boards in the town, and seeing if the second shot deals with or is accepted more by those land use boards. See if
One problem I had with that, Max, is that most of these properties, either they were in compliance with the law at that time. Mm-hmm. Some of them had to go for variances, but that meant they went before the ZBA and they were made in compliance. Right. Now we change the law and retroactively do away with all that, make them all illegal. That doesn't sound right. You have people who invested their money.
So yes, I get exactly what you're saying, Mr. Brower, and we are like I said, the concern is not with these most recent changes of grandfathering those lot areas and lot widths. That's not what the concern is. The concern is in trying to modernize that entire chapter, like you said, needs to be done. We had gone too far and made things too permissive, and that we need to strike the right balance. We're still going to grandfather the pre-2017 lot areas, but we need to also not go too far in undermining the code.
How do
In
you
providing relief.
But Max, in all due respect, these are people who follow the letter of the law. At that time, they built. In good faith, they were in compliance. Now you change the law and you make them outlaws. That doesn't
Ward,
sound right.
Ward, no one's making anybody outlaws here. We're working to adjust it. Your comments are heard. I mean, zoning has changed in this town. Listen, just let me finish. Zoning has been changed in this town for 50, 60, 70 years, right? And someone that had a farm on 17M doesn't have a farm now, right? So you know, I think you're using kind of some strong language about making people outlaws. Listen, we're going to address it, and we're going to work to address it without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I think that's what Max is saying, and that's what we're.
My question is, how do you address it?
Well, that's what we're going to move to try to do next.
I'm listening to it now. We all have to go to the ZBA. We should not have to go to the ZBA. We did not. We were legal conforming, and then you made us non-conforming. That doesn't sound right.
Ward,
we should not. The onus should not be on us.
Ward, nobody has said that you're going to be required to go to the ZBA. You're making assumptions here, and I think if you let us get to where we have to get with this, the right decision will be made for the residents, because I don't think this board has made one wrong decision for the residents since everybody has been compiled here.
Well, no, not blaming this board at all.
Well, that's what you're doing. If you're blaming us, if you're saying that we made them outlaws.
Well, if you tell us we're illegally non-conforming when we were up until 2017 legal conforming, and you passed the law, then that facts speak for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say is that Mary and Sal weren't on when we passed the law. So, I mean, we'll make it right, Ward. You keep
out here turn this into illegal non-conforming, and that's not right.
Hey, Ward, duly noted. We have to move on now. We've got to move on. But listen, we understand what you're saying, but we have to move on to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your comments.
All right. Next, we have Mr. Berkovitz. Okay. Mr. Berkovitz, do you have any comments?
No, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have, I'm going to start with the non-water. So, Lorraine.
Hello. I'm good. It's just that this does seem to be taking a really, really long time to go through the process. So I know you said you were working on one thing, the final environmental impact statement, before you could get to this. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect our government to be able to walk and chew gum. So I don't know why we couldn't have both of these things going on in parallel, but that's it. I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
Supervisor, do you want me to run through the remaining? They were all the
Yeah, I think most everyone there is, unless anyone new joined us, I think most everyone there is for the water district.
Okay, I give him a second. If you want to speak, even though you might be here for water, just electronically raise your hand. I'll give you a couple seconds. Okay, I have a comment from Mr. Fusco.
Gotta unmute yourself.
No comment. I was raising my hand.
Yeah, you raise your hand when you want to make a comment.
Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, I think that's it, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay. All right, so we need a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing for the proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law.
So
I'll make that motion.
Sal?
The date
Second.
also July 13th?
Yeah, it's going to be July 13th at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Then I will second.
Okay. Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Any other questions, comments? Call the question.
Excuse me, Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. I think Mr. Nugent has joined us. Not that we want you to leave, Mr. Colasar. So I'd like to make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing regarding Old Country Road Water District. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Call a question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved.
Okay. Mr. Supervisor, you want me to go to Mr. Trotter?
Yeah, sure, please.
Sure. Okay, Mr. Trotter, you're on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. There's a couple items that I'd like to address with the board this evening. Number one is the status of the water district formation. I believe we've provided everything that the town board has requested in connection with the formation of the district. And I don't believe there's been or there are any reasons not to close the public hearing on that and move it towards formation. Number two is the status of the IMA, which I note is later on the agenda, but obviously it's intertwined with the formation of the district. Your council had given us some additional and alternative language following your last meeting, and we had and have approved that at the village. And so I'm hoping that you're in a position to act on that and approve that this evening. The last item is an item that came up just the other day, which just needs to be clarified, I believe, and that's with respect to the size of the water meters that are being installed. We had sent to the supervisor earlier today a letter from our engineers, which spoke to the issue of the size of the water meter. Apparently, some people have been concerned that the village is somehow going to be shortchanging the property owners by providing them a 3/4 inch meter. That's certainly not the case. And the water flows to the property owners will be perfectly normal. The meter we are proposing is larger than the 5/8 inch meters, which are typically used by the village of Monroe to service properties in the town. We're proposing a larger meter, and that's the 3/4 inch meter. In fact, that 3/4 inch meter is the standard in most communities, water systems for residential, single-family residential meters. And that's because when you get larger meters, they don't register the typical low flows that are experienced in residential households. So what we're proposing is a 3/4 inch meter. We don't believe there's any engineering rationale for requiring anything larger. And the details of that have been provided in writing to the supervisor earlier today.
Howard, I thank you for, I got your email, and more than the question of the size of the meter, it's actually the question is of the model of the meter, because there are different sizes of 5/8 or 3/4 inch meters. And I'm just waiting for a response from our engineers, just to be sure. I will ask our attorney if we, if the board is in agreement, if we approve the amendment tonight, provided that we have clarification of the actual model and size of the meter, and in a form that is conducive to our attorney's requirements.
So Supervisor, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
So if the board wants, yeah, that's up to you. You can, approve the IMA subject to confirmation that the meter, is acceptable, and the board could designate you to follow up on that, authorize you to sign it, subject to my satisfaction and yours.
Okay,
The district, however, would not be formed tonight. There has to be an order after a public hearing that has to be finalized, so that wouldn't happen tonight.
okay. All right. Anybody have any comments?
Supervisor, I have a question for Mr. Trotter. Since this water district is basically to be receiving its water from the village or Palm Tree or town of Palm Tree, Village of Curious Joel, will the water department of the Village of Curious Joel also be doing all the mandatory testing that the Board of Health requires, such as for E. coli and disinfection byproducts, et cetera?
Yes, that's in the agreement.
That
Yes.
is, okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Nugent, if you could phrase the motion with respect to the approval of this.
Sure, Supervisor. So it'll be a motion to authorize the supervisor to execute the intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Curious Joel for the Old Country Road Water District in a form satisfactory to town council and the town supervisor.
Okay, well, I can't, but somebody's got to.
I'll
I'll
second.
make the motion.
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Seconded by Councilman Scangarello?
Yep.
Okay. So move. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye. Cologne, aye.
McGinn?
You're
Can't
muted.
hear you. You're
You gotta
muted.
No, I didn't hear Sal say aye.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Sal. Yeah, aye.
Aye, all right. Okay, so moved. So that's approved. Anything else, Mr. Trotter?
Yes, if I may, if it's appropriate and your council believes so, then perhaps you can consider closing the public hearing tonight, and between tonight and your next meeting, he and I can finalize whatever orders are needed so that they're in proper form for you for your next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, Supervisor, there's no objection from me to doing that. I think the public hearing has certainly been open and long enough to receive comment. So it could be closed. If you want to give any additional period for written comments, you could do that. But otherwise, we can close it and then work on the order for the next hearing.
okay, so
Next meeting, sorry.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the Old Country Road. Wait a minute, we didn't go to other people, so I can't close it yet.
We have, what's 5 people
Yeah,
waiting?
we have 5 other people that need to comment.
Yep. So
Yeah, okay,
first
so you
up,
can take that first.
Yeah,
first up, we have Michelle Dixler with her hand raised. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, all right, so we still have the opportunity to put in written comments on what? I mean, the IMA you just voted on, correct?
yes,
Okay, congratulations on that. All right, you're going to be speaking with your engineer about the size of these water flow meters.
yes, I spoke to him on Friday, and then I followed up with a call today, so we're just waiting for a response.
Okay, is he an independent professional? Not that I'm questioning his professionalism, but he has the background to make
Yes.
decisions on these things?
Yep.
Okay,
They handle our water needs in the town.
okay. And I noticed in number 9 on the IMA, it says the town has the option of overseeing the installation. does an engineer come to the homes to see the installation that's put in? Does someone inspect it before it's approved?
Well, are you talking about the roadway or are you talking about the meter?
No, I'm talking, well, the whole thing. I mean, the meters, yes. Does someone check that out, that everything is working properly and?
I mean, you know, anything we do is going to be a cost that's going to be placed upon the village of KJ. So I don't see a problem doing that. I mean, I don't know, John, did you want to comment on that, Sherney?
It's an easy hookup. It's basically two pipes and a wire. So
Yeah. I mean, if it's done, Mrs. Dixler, if it's done incorrectly, they're going to have to fix it.
Okay. All right. And as to the road, there's a really, really, really big rut in front of number 21 Old Country Road. It is very difficult to ride over, and I know it will eventually be paved, but can they temporarily put some more tar in it or something? It's very bad.
John, maybe you want to send Billy out there to take a look at it?
no, I'll take a look at it tomorrow. I was there last week. I mean, there's ruts in the roadway. I don't know what the holdup is right now on fixing the roadway. I don't.
This rut gets worse every day. I mean, it's really, someone's going to lose a tire or something. It's not good. Okay, thank you. I appreciate your coming out.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next speaker, John.
Mr. Libby Bickle. Mr. Bickle, you're on.
Yeah, first question of the IMA, the 4 years going to start by the installation of the meter?
4 years will start once you get your first drop of water out of the spigot.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Next question going to be, in the village, is many homes that have 1 inch. It's not the work all have a 3/4 meter. And there is common in the village that on the Fridays, there's a peak on every Friday. There's a low pressure in many homes. In different villages, that is not uncommon to have on every Friday a big peak. So that's why we should not have the option the same than in the village to choose a meter. There's a reason why there is an option for meters, because there's different sizes.
I don't know if Mr. Prada can explain that.
Why when I call in?
Mr. Prada, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, there are no single-family homes in the village that have 1 inch meters, as far as I know. They all have 3/4.
So I'm a plumber and I do a lot of services in homes, and there's many 1 inch meters in the houses, and not only 1 inch, model 70 and budget meter. So why over here, after struggling 4 years to getting water, now the whole village starts to be like something's going on with the meter? I don't want to have a restriction of flow. And everyone knows in the village on Friday afternoons and every holiday there's a problem with water. Everyone have the same habits. Everyone goes in the shower at the same time. So why over here, why we should not have the option to ask? Why only what? I don't understand. What is the goal? What is the, with ONR, if they're asking for specs, what do you have in the house? This is what they're giving. I have a 450 meter. Many homes, most of them have 250 meters, just a size. And this is still in the residential series. It's not a commercial model. This is a residential model.
Are you concerned about the size of it or the actual model now?
My concern is about flow, because I believe the flow on the main line gonna change from Wednesday to Friday. there's not going to be the same pressure on the main line. This will, in fact, this will be the same, the restriction will be higher in a low flow than a higher flow. Things are changing. And therefore, people in the village have different meters. It's not an uncommon thing to have a 1-inch meter in the village.
Well, the only thing I could tell you, Libby, just from a layman's term here, is you're closer to the well than the village is, so you'll get the water first.
Okay, I hope.
I mean, listen, let's wait. I understand what you're saying. Let's wait for our engineer's report. And, you know, we can, you know, see what they say.
Okay, thank you very much for the help and for everything till now. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up we have Mr. Fusco. Mr. Fusco, you're on.
Yes, I'm just trying to confirm. They're stating we're going to build $6 per 1,000 gallons. Is that correct?
I believe that's the number. I think it was it 6 even?
I don't have the paperwork in front of me. This just, you know.
Yeah, I believe it was in the $6 range. Yep.
Now, is that an average cost per 1,000?
No, that's what it's going to cost you per 1,000. It's not an average. So if you use 10,000 gallons, you're going to pay $66 or $60.
So the water I've been pumping for free all these years, now I have to pay for it.
No, there's a 4-year
payment waiver.
time frame. If your well is, Brian, can you? I don't have the agreement in front of me, so I can't. I don't have the details in front of me, but there was a 4-year period of no payments, but there were some parameters within that.
And it's in the meetings of the minutes or in the paperwork that?
No, it's in the agreement.
It's in the agreement. Okay.
Yes.
And well, Michelle Dixler brought up also about the road. It is pretty bad, and it's right where every line they dug, it seems like it's sunk down, and there's one spot it actually sunk down across the whole road about 4 inches. So it's pretty substantial.
Yeah, I wonder if they tamped it down.
Well, I know they tamped it, Tony, but I don't know what the holdup is with these guys. I mean, I think they're a necessity right now to get out there and get this thing fixed, you know. If I start putting material in there, we're going to have to charge them back or something, but I want to make sure we're going to get our money before I put anything in there.
Okay. Mr. Prada, can you please work on that with the construction company?
Yes, I will take these comments back tonight and communicate them.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So my other question regarding the people that currently have water or reduced water pressure, are we going to be hooked up eventually, or it's the people without the water first, and then there's going to be a staging for later on for the water?
Yeah, people without the water first, and then based on the drop in your pressure, I think if you're below 3 gallons, I think it is, you'll be able to get hooked up. Danny, if you want to call me tomorrow, I'll go over because I apologize. I just don't have the agreement.
No problem. No problem. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Okay, next up we have Jacob Bickle. Jacob, you're on if you want to make a comment.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for the time. Special, they came down and it was 3/4 inch and almost installed, and they came down with a plan and showed that they need to be as agreed to the 1-inch service line to the house. And I would appreciate if possible, so we can have a choice if you want to have a 1-inch meter if possible. But I appreciate everything you did and everybody here, and I'm excited to have this installed, which I say almost this week.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next up is Ward Brower. Ward Brower, if you'd like to make a comment.
No comment on this one, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Berkowitz. Mr. Berkowitz, if you'd like to make a comment.
All right, move on.
Okay, we'll move on. And that's it, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, so with that said, Brian, would you like to phrase the motion for the closing of the public hearing?
Sure, Supervisor. It will be a motion to close the public hearing on the Old Country Road Water District. That's all you need at this point, and then we'll take up the order after the hearing at the next meeting. So that's pretty much it, is to close the public hearing now. To the comment made by Ms. Dixler, if you want to set a 10-day period or something for written comment, you could do that. That's up to the board. You want to do that, or?
Yeah, let's make it 14 days. So we'll go from today through the, geez, where the heck is June? All right, today through the 29th.
Okay, so the motion then will be to close the public hearing for oral comment with a period for written comment to remain open till June 29th.
All right, sounds good. I'll make that motion.
Hold on a second.
Hold on a second. Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, you're muted again.
Can I?
Mr.
Are you there?
Happy.
Are you there, Mike?
All right. Next up, motion to open up the public hearing to amend the zoning ordinance from ordinance for Monroe Nininger LLC.
I'll make that
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Made by Councilwoman Bingham and seconded by Councilman McGinn, because he was making it before you said that, Sal.
Okay.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Can I?
Okay. So moved. So nothing to add here because nothing's done and they're still before the planning board. So I think the thought is to move this public hearing to the August meeting. I don't know if anybody out there wants to raise their hand and speak about anything regarding this. And then John, if you want to ask Ward, because he's on the phone.
Okay. Mr. Brower, you're permitted to talk if you'd like a comment.
I've been following at the planning board level. I realize it's still proceeding along, and that's all I can say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. No one else has their hand raised. Madam Clerk, can you confirm the meeting date in August? I believe it's the 10th.
And I'm going to have to agree with you on that. It's the 10th.
It's the 10th.
Double checking. If you want to go on, I'll just double check it, but I believe it is the 10th. I'm working on checking it.
Yeah, the only thing is I have to make a motion for the,
All right, just 1 second, Williams. To the,
Raul, you don't happen to know, do you?
yeah, let me. I'll
I'm
take care-
showing, I'm showing August 3rd.
Oh,
Third?
you're showing August 3rd? Okay,
2 meetings in August
Oh, okay, that's why. We
because of
normally
Labor
have
Day.
One.
oh, right, because of Labor Day, correct, okay. All right, so I'll make the motion to open the continuation, I'm sorry, to keep open the continuation of the public hearing regarding the petition to amend zoning ordinance Monroe Ninja LLC at 7 PM on August 3rd or immediately thereafter.
Cologne, second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay. So moved. Next up, under the audit of claims, we have an abstract number 20-18. Total dollar amount for the claims is $236,942.43. We get a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Bingham, seconded by Councilman Cologne. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay, so moved. Next up is an escrow abstract, abstract 20-08 for a total amount of $2,448.75. Can we get a motion there?
I'll make that
the
motion.
Councilman Scancarello and seconded by Councilman Cologne. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay, so moved. Next up, we have two transfers from the building department. They pertain to account number B0003620-4055-00, safety inspections contractual. It's $200. They're transferring from that to, excuse me, account B0003620-2000-00 into safety inspection equipment. So that's a $200 transfer. I'll make a motion to do that.
Cologne,
I'll
second.
second.
Cologne, second. Call the question.
For discussion, since,
Go.
yeah, this has to do with COVID-19. Are we keeping all this separate just in case we ever qualify for a grant or?
We have kept everything separate since the inception of this. I will follow up with something after we do these transfers. I'll just, tell you a little something that's been going on.
Okay, so we're gonna call the question. Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay. Next up is a transfer from B0003620-4189-00, safety inspection, education, and dues meetings. We're transferring 600 out of there into B000-3620-4223-00, public safety IT maintenance at $600. I'll make that motion.
Cologne, second.
Call in a second. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay, so moved. So just to follow up to what you said, Mary, Finance and Jen had a meeting today with Dave Jenkins over Zoom, and it was Dave Jenkins is handling all the FEMA aspects of this. We have created a line item that deals with just COVID-only expenses that was created back in March. We've been on top of it. We will be on top of it, and we'll get our money from FEMA. And it's easier for Dave Jenkins to do this Any fee associated with Dave Jenkins would also be included in the reimbursement money from FEMA. Okay, next up. Item 6.2, oil water separator, John Sherney. We're doing a transfer from account A000-1990-000-000, which is out of our contingency account, $18,525. That's getting transferred into two accounts. The first account is going into highway garage building repair and maintenance. That's account A000-5132-4303-00. That amount is $9,262.50. The other account it's going into is bus operations, building repair and maintenance, and that's A000-5630-4303-00. So those two accounts total $18,525. The reason they're split into two accounts is Dial-A-Bus uses the wash bay, which is where the oil separator is, and we do get federal reimbursement with respect to the money that Dial-A-Bus spends. So I'll make a motion to approve that.
Hold on a second.
All question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. All right. Item 7.1, the acceptance of the June 1st minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Cologne, second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. All right, next up under new business is the Detective Brian Mulkeen dedication of a portion of State Highway. This was brought to us by Assemblyman Colin Schmidt. He introduced legislation to name a portion of the State Highway in memory of NYPD Detective Brian Mulkeen. So we need to pass a resolution on this. The summary of the bill is it's A10376, and that's the same as SO8490. Colin Schmidt was the sponsor of the bill. Co-sponsors were Assemblyman Brabennick and Assemblyman Byrne. So it designates a portion of state highway system as a Detective Brian C. Mulkeen Memorial Bridge. And I believe they're talking about a portion of 32 where this would be done.
Yeah, I
Route
believe
32?
it's the section of,
overpass.
it's the bridge that goes over over 17 there.
17, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so I will, Mr. McGinn, would you like to make that motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion on behalf of the Mulkeen family, who longtime residents here in Monroe. Brian grew up here. He was killed in the line of duty in the 4-7 precinct in the Bronx last September while performing plainclothes anti-crime patrol and apprehending an armed felon. So I'd gladly make that motion.
All right, I'll second it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. Next item up is the item 8.2, smoke-free zone on Town of Monroe property. This would be a resolution creating a smoke-free zone on certain Town of Monroe properties and parks, including Town of Monroe Town Hall and surrounding Town Hall property, Town of Monroe Senior Center and the surrounding property, Monbassia Park, Alex Smith Pavilion on Round Lake, Orange and Rockland Park, and the Faber Farm and Berry Road Farms. So all these, the common thread with all these buildings is they are consistently used by the public. So we will, I would like to make that motion. You have the, resolution in front of you.
Second for discussion.
Sure.
Are we going to have any signage there saying it's a smoke-free zone?
Yes, there will be signage placed there.
Thank you.
What about with special events such as like the food truck festival and things like that, where people, there are large amount of large numbers of people and people may be smoking.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a no smoking area. I mean, I don't know. Ask Mr. Nugent if you can waive it for a day. Or Mr. Colasar.
Yeah, I mean, it's a resolution, so the board can always change it. We can always add something into it orally now today, sort of like an amendment to it, saying that the board at certain times, maybe for special events on special occasions, may choose to waive it at their discretion. You can always add that to the resolution if you like.
Did you want to add that, Councilman McGinn?
Yeah, I think it'd be wise to, because otherwise we're going to be in position of doing selective enforcement, and I don't think we want to put ourselves in that position.
Okay.
Agreed.
Discussion, aren't we kind of going down a slippery slope? Because if you do it for this festival and you don't do it for that sporting event, where are we going to draw the line?
Well, the line is drawn by us. Town board.
Oh, sorry. I work at a facility where it's across the board. You can't even smoke in your car. I think we have to send a consistent message that smoking isn't a good thing anymore. And these are the properties you can't smoke. If you're that desperate for a cigarette, maybe you should get in your car, drive a little bit, and then come back to whatever the activity is.
What's the feeling of the board?
Yes. It's tough.
I mean, I agree with Mary. Like, I don't smoke and understand where you're coming from, but I think if you have a special event, you're going to need to have that clause to, because certainly if you have 3,000 people at a food truck festival like we've had in the past, it's very, very difficult to restrict people from not smoking there. I mean, there's no enforcement mechanism for doing so. I mean, listen, we can put signs up all over, don't get me wrong, saying no smoking or a designated smoking area or something like that. But I think, we would be very hard pressed to try to enforce that.
And it's outdoors.
And so
secondhand smoke kills just as much as, studies show can be just as dangerous.
Well, the other part of this, Mary, that we have to look at is, we also have a beer at the food truck festival, and there's obviously health issues with any kind of alcohol. So
right. But this resolution just to do with smoking.
And I believe for the food truck festival, the board creates certain zones with security for drinking and stuff. So it could be, maybe as a special event arises, maybe you designate a certain area if the board likes to at that time. Again, it's a resolution, so it could be amended, but correct me if I'm wrong, Brian.
I think Brian fell asleep.
I agree.
think.
I'm here. That's correct. It's up to the board. I mean, you decide what regulations and how you want to impose them. And if somebody has an issue with another location, then you deal with that when the time comes.
So I think the best way to handle this is we approve this resolution, and then Mr. McGinn, if you want to amend it right after we approve this with that one clause, so at least we're approving this, and we'll just make an amendment if the board sees fit.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. So I will make a motion to approve the resolution. I'll read the whereases. Now therefore be it resolved, all whereas clauses are hereby incorporated by reference as those set forth in full herein. Section 2, the town board hereby designates certain areas of the town, including Town of Monroe Town Hall, surrounding town hall property, Town of Monroe Senior Center and surrounding property, on Bayshore Park, Alex Smith Pavilion, on Round Lake, the Orange and Rockland Park, and the Faber Farm, Berry Road Park as smoke-free zones. Section 3, town board hereby prohibits the smoking and the use of tobacco and tobacco-related products in all outdoors areas, on any part of the town properties or in the town parks that are designated as smoke-free zones. Section 4, the town board hereby prohibits the placement of any ash can, ashtray, or smoking waste receptacle in any area on town property and in any part of the town parks designated as smoke-free zones. Section 5, the town board hereby directs the town supervisor or any other employee as directed by the town supervisor to place signage on and around town properties and town parks designated as smoke-free zones, advising the public that smoking and the use of tobacco and tobacco-related products, including electronic cigarettes, vape pens, and other vaping devices, is prohibited in such smoke-free zones. And Section 6, the town supervisor and any other officer or employee as directed by the town supervisor shall take any and all necessary action to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 7, this resolution shall be effective immediately. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All right.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McKenna, aye.
Okay. Councilman McGinn, did you want it?
Yeah, I'd like to make an amendment to that, that motion that, that the town board consider waiving such provision for special events as deemed as deemed appropriate by the board.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Any other discussion?
Yeah,
So
as I said before, I think we got to be consistent and have smoke-free zones all the time.
Mr. Nugent, you had something to say?
I was just going to say, with respect to the exemptions for certain events, do you want to, is that going to be, in other words, to designate an area for smoking, or are you looking for a general waiver throughout an event? In other words, it should be one or the other. Either you're going to designate an area or you're just going to waive it for some outdoor event entirely.
I'll defer to Councilman McGinn. You know.
I would rather than, again, you get into the whole enforcement thing when you have 3,000 people, you know, trying to, shoo them into a smoking area. I mean, listen, if that would meet the pleasure of the board, that's fine, but I think it'll be tough to enforce, and you're going to have, people hanging out by the band or in the beer pavilion or whatever that will be smoking, and it's going to be very difficult to prevent that.
I think people are used to it now, going to certain areas, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, listen, certainly in ballparks and stuff like that, there are outdoor places and there's designated smoking areas, and so listen, if you want to make it to accept in designated areas, that's fine. I'll go with that.
I don't know if we can enforce that with that many people there.
Which brings up the question, who's going to enforce it in general?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Is it
depending upon who's there, it might be the village police, it might be the state police.
Yeah, but there's no provisions in this code for any, well, it's not code, it's just there's no provisions in there. This isn't a local law that has any fining or other type of penalties involved with it.
Oh, well, let me make a suggestion. I mean, typically if you're having events, you're approving them anyway if they're large scale events. So you could have a provision in the resolution that says that, this policy may be waived with conditions, if any, to be imposed by the town board for each event. Because I think, there might be a large event and it might be difficult, but then again, you might have a small event where it's not so difficult and you might say, hey, for this event, there's going to be food and it's, we're going to have an area over here for smoking or whatever. So you could have a general waiver and just say that the town board for events may waive the restriction and may impose conditions, but, you kind of do it on a case-by-case basis.
You okay
Yeah,
with that, again?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so can you repeat the motion then?
Me or Mr. McGinn?
Mr. McGinn looks like he already forgot it. He's got that look on his face. So,
Oh, really, Mr. Supervisor?
Go ahead.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. McGinn.
We'll tie something to your finger so you can remember things as well. I'd like to make an amendment to the resolution that we just passed that town board allow smoking at certain public events as designated before each event by the town board.
In designated areas?
Well,
In designated areas.
No, I think that's to be determined. In other words, that's
Yeah.
what
To be
you're saying
determined.
on each event.
Yeah,
Okay.
to be determined by each event
Okay.
as plausible, as reasonable.
Did Councilman Sankarelli, you seconded the first one. Do you want to?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, nay.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right. John, is there anybody else on the phone? Like,
Ward Brower is still on the phone, and then we have two other attendees, Lorraine and Mr. Berkovitz.
okay, no, so Michael's not on. All right, so just so everyone knows, I asked him to come on if he could tonight, but he said, I thought he said he might have something going on. So we need to discuss and approve the Eagle Scout project for landscaping at Town Hall to be completed by Michael Portanova of Troop 440. The project includes a rock wall border around the electronic Town Hall sign. He's going to do some mulch at the front of the building. He's going to repair the lights that are around the front of the courtroom area. Light repair and installation will be completed by the town. No, it won't. That's not how it was explained to me. Replacement of shrubs at the town hall entrance and the removal of bushes located in the triangle area outside the upper level entrance. And he's gonna do 3 additional hydrangea bushes on each side of the tree, as well as brown mulch, not black mulch. So I just wanted to let everyone know that. So if everyone does not have a problem with that,
Mr. Supervisor, when is he looking to start that project?
He wants it, when we met, he asked me when I would like it completed by, and I said I thought about the fall.
Okay.
So, and I said September. I said, which is really the summer. So he was on board with it. So he actually emailed me today and we exchanged it, a couple of comments. Because one of the comments is there's an electrical box next to the sign. You just want to make sure you can extend it up from the ground level.
Okay.
So
sounds like a great project. We got to produce more Eagle Scouts than anyone else in the country. We have to.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
It's awesome.
And then there's another one coming up, which we'll deal with at a later date, which he's gonna work on the patio and some picnic tables for the deck area.
Unbelievable.
So
What do we got lined up now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 5 Eagle Scout projects lined up?
we got 5, yeah. We
Unbelievable.
got picnic
impressive.
tables also from Monbassia. And well, the fifth one isn't really lined up, which is the picnic tables and the patio area. Because he still has to make his presentation to the board of the Boy Scouts. But
It's incredible.
so that's where we're at. So, I mean, I'd like to make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Good night. Okay. The other thing which I skipped over because it was on the back page, we need to pass a resolution for the
Probation.
John Mardilla to
Yep.
remove from probation. John is a employee of the Mudna Commission, and the Mudna Commission had removed him from probation. It was recommended that since he is technically a town employee and paid through the town, that we make that motion.
I will second that.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Wait, no, you make the motion, Mary.
Oh, okay. I'll make the motion to take John Mordula off of probation.
Cologne,
second.
second.
Cologne by seconded by Councilman Cologne. Okay. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. All right, Old Country Road IMA was discussed. And proposed local law number 2.
12. Water
What's
District
that?
Agreement.
Water District 12.
Magui Hauser Etzel Agreement.
Yeah. Thank you. Water District 12, Magui Hauser Edsel Agreement.
Yeah, there were a few changes that were made, minor, but they agreed, some were like the length of time for notification and how they're going to give certain reports. So I'm very happy now with the way the agreement stands. So I'd like to make a motion for the town board to approve this contract, and for, I don't know, do we need 2 motions? One for the supervisor to sign it and one to
For the motion,
the
right.
contract?
Yep.
Well, I think if you're approving the supervisor to sign it, it's the
Okay,
same motion.
so I'll make a motion for the supervisor to sign the contract with Magui Hauser Etzel for Water District 12.
All right, Cologne, second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Abstain.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Okay, proposed local law number 2 of 2020, which is the amendment to Article 3, Chapter 51 of the Town Code, which is for the local laws to improve and promote health, safety, and general welfare of the community by regulating the use of town roads by certain buses, trucks, and to maintain the integrity of town roads, which were not designed for use by certain buses and trucks exceeding 18,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. We did hold a public hearing on this. Unfortunately, this kind of slipped through the cracks as far as us passing the resolution on it and moving it. So we said, Mr. Nugent, we're not getting specific with the locations, correct?
Not in the resolution, but it's in the local laws. It's Lake
That's
Region
right.
and school. It's just, we're not putting this locations in the resolutions because the local law is what you're adopting.
Okay. Okay. So that being said, I will make that motion to adopt the local law number 2 of 2020. Do I have a second?
I'll
Cologne,
second.
second.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. So moved.
Do we have to read the resolution now?
Mr. Nugent?
Not required. I mean, if anything,
Yeah.
you could read the be it resolved if you want.
Hold on a second. Okay, so, now therefore be it resolved, section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein by reference as if set forth fully herein. Section 2, the town board hereby determines that the adoption of the local law is a type 2 action as defined by part 617 of the NYCCR pertaining to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Number 3, section 3, the town board hereby adopts the local law entitled a local law to amend Article 3, Chapter 51 of the Town Code of Monroe entitled Trucks and Bus Exclusions, a copy of which is attached hereto and made part hereof. Section 4, the town board hereby directs the town clerk to enter the local law in the minutes of the town board meeting, to enter the local law into the local law book of the town, and to give notice of the adoption of the local law to the Secretary of State. Section 5, the town supervisor and any town official or employee as directed by the town is authorized to take any actions necessary to carry out provisions of this resolution. Section 6, the resolution shall be effective immediately. Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Gancarello, aye.
Again, I, for the second time.
Okay, so moved. I'm gonna table Memorial Day donation requests because our requests were not answered. As of yet, they are looking into the actual receipts from that. So I'll make a motion to table that
I'll second it.
at a date to be determined later. Thank you. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Gancarello, aye.
Again, I,
Okay, so moved. Superintendent Sherney, do you have anything that you wanted to add this evening?
We have the CHIPS monies summary on that, and we have to talk about Rye Hill a little bit.
Okay,
So basically, with the CHIPS monies that we have coming to us, which would be the CHIPS payment would be $172,650.22. That's with we had a balance of $86,357 from last year we did not spend. That rolls over, thank God. Pave New York. Excuse me, of course. Pave New York at this time is $39,409.13. And Extreme Winter Recovery, which I think we should be able to submit that this year. They'll owe us $31,887. So we should be able to, with canceled checks from our SWOL purchases, submit that and get the reimbursement for that. So basically, you're at $243,946 right now that will be owed by CHIPS and Pave New York and Extreme Winter Recovery.
and what's the approximate cost for Rye Hill Road?
Right now, what I'm looking at for Rye Hill Road, which I did not, I was hoping to get Reclamation's quote in there, but the paving costs right now are $258,172. You can add on another 50 approximately for Reclamation. It might be a little more, it might be a little less. So you're going up to, 308,000 in that ballpark.
All right, and then we have the,
Say 330,000 to be safe.
yeah. And then we have the additional grant from Senator Skoufis, which,
Right. Well, that's something that we got to really
well,
get
I
a
can tell you,
confirmation.
they have told us everything is is on hold. They can't answer it right now.
Yeah.
Jen was in contact with them last week and the week before. So I don't have any answer other than that.
Yeah, and I don't know basically what, if we start this project, if we finish this project before we get any confirmation from the state for that grant monies, will that be in void? You know,
Well,
last time we did something with grant monies, I know we had to have at least a letter of confirmation before we started.
Yeah. Well, I'll reach out to his office tomorrow and I'll get an answer.
Yeah, I mean, as of now, we basically started piping certain sections of Rye Hill Road. We are preparing. Basically, we have to have canceled checks in order to get CHIPS monies back to us. So when reclamation comes in to mill the section of roadway and reclaim a section of roadway from Jean Drive to Cedar Cliff, once we pay them, once that check is canceled, it has to get to CHIPS, same as the paving contractor. So that's where, that way we get reimbursed, you know, as quickly as possible. And that would have to be done by October for this year's funding.
Okay. Wait, the road would have to be completed by October.
Well, the canceled checks would have to be back into the New York State by October. We're right in that ballpark. End of September, October.
Okay.
Which is, it's all doable. Don't get me wrong. We can,
Yeah.
you know, once I actually get the thumbs up from the town board to say we're going for it, you know, I'll have reclamation and Ward Pavement actually got our zone this year, Ward Pavements. I'll have them scheduled for late August.
Okay.
Hey, John, can I just ask you a quick question about Rye Hill? Are you, do you guys have any plans about, you know, we have that kind of problem where you get icing that's kind of just on our side of the village line there next to the next to the wall for what would be Shea Farm?
Oh, that little section there? Yeah, we plan on actually tying in a section of catch basin to the village's catch basin, which is on a downhill slope of that. I plan on putting a basin on the right-hand side of the road coming down, right in that ballpark, and shooting that across the road. That's just a bad spot there. And basically, the only thing I could do is basically a catch basin without taking away that bank, you know?
Gotcha.
That would be a little bit more tricky and a little more involved, you know, especially with possible construction coming.
Yeah.
Future, and that's another thing that, you know, hey, you know, you guys got to take care of this bank for us because this is, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a bad spot there. Ice always seems to pool right in that area. So as long as I can get it underground, that would definitely be a help.
All right, beautiful. Great to hear it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John. What was the other issue you had? The other item?
That was it right this second.
Okay.
Unless you want to bring up what we discussed this morning, but.
Yeah, we're going to do that in executive session. I'd like you to come into that.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Colasar, any other, we're at public comment stage in the meeting?
I can call on the participants.
Sure.
Mr. Brower. Oh, I think Brian, I made him the host.
You're fired.
Ow.
First of all, I do apologize for my informal appearance, but you know how to do my suffering graduation today.
Yes.
All right, so I will, is that Ward 031?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I will bring him in to see if he has any public comment. Mr. Brower, anything for public comment?
Just two things. Refresh my memory on that heavy vehicle ban. Is there a clause except for local delivery? They'll still be allowed? Do you recall?
Yes, it's in there.
And then the last thing is, I want to thanks to our supervisor, Mr. Cardone, for reaching out to the Conservation Commission and helping us in areas that we're not experts in, and that would be the Zoom.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
I'll be talking to Joe to help him out with it, so.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem, Ward.
Taught him everything he knows.
Yeah, well, listen, there is a lot of truth to that.
I'm sure there is.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so anything else, Ward?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Chime Berkowitz. Nobody there. Okay, and then we have one more, and then we have Lorraine. We'll bring her in and see if she wants to speak.
Well,
Lorraine?
I'm good right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lorraine. All right, that's it, Supervisor.
Okay. If there's nothing else that any of the board has to comment on, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Does John have the number, Supervisor, to call in? John
who?
Sherney?
John,
And
do you have?
Or you can.
Why'd you text it to him?
No, I don't have that. I'll just call you, Tony. You put me on speaker.
Yeah, that works.
You want to do that, or I can just text him the number if you want it?
You don't text it to him because then I can't call in.
Okay, let me
Oh,
just.
by
make-
all means, just go on, John. Don't worry about it.
Okay, let me make sure. Yeah, John, I have your cell. Ends in 43, the last two digits.
8943, correct.
Yep. Okay, so I'll text you the call-in information.
All
And then
right.
Supervisor, sorry, you can go with your motion if you would like.
Okay, I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Malone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Gancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
All right, so I'll be putting you guys on hold. So you can just stay on Zoom, and then we're going to dial in for the call, and I will put each of you on hold.
Hold on a minute. I'm looking for the number on here.
Okay.
I don't see it for,
That's from Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon
Looking
sent
in
it
your
out.
email, look for Shannon.
okay.
She's the real boss.
It was a lot easier in person.
June 15th, John.
All right, John, I sent you that, so you should have the call in.
All right, so just call in now. Okay, very
Okay,
good.
got it.
Uh,
Got it.
All right, so everybody's got the number?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so I'll start putting you on hold, and then I will see you on the call.
63. 765.
And Mr. Cologne on hold. All right, so I'm just leaving you and Val, and I'll be on mute.
We're back.
We are back. Madam Clerk, we waited to make the resolution to come out of executive session until now, so you would hear everything.
So I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay, and back to our Monroe Town Board meeting, June 15th. Call the question?
Hingham, aye.
Malone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. Mr. Nugent, we have 3 motions, I believe. Or you're incorporating 2 of them into one, so I'll turn over that aspect to you.
Okay, so the first resolution, I'm going to combine, which is regarding the solar farm project. And the resolution will be to authorize the town supervisor and town legal counsel to finalize the terms of any and all agreements and documents required to bring the solar farm online, and to provide the final documents to the town board for authorization for the supervisor to execute same. And such documents include, but are not limited to, a First Amendment to the ESA, a lease or easement, acknowledgement and release agreement, and an opinion of town council. And then in addition, the supervisor will be authorized now to sign the NYSERDA project change modification form. That's the motion.
Okay. Who is making that motion?
I'll
Cologne
make
make
that
the
motion. I'll second it. Doesn't matter.
Seconded by Councilman McGinn, made by Councilman Cologne. Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Second resolution for the evening.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'll make the motion and somebody can adopt it. This will be a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign a memorandum of agreement with the Teamsters Local 445 regarding the furlough for 90 days of 2 part-time employees.
I'd like to make that motion as read by Mr. Nugent.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
What's so funny?
What my wife scared the hell out of me. She just put the dog up at the window and like I couldn't think what it was. And I was like, what the hell is that? And,
Oh boy.
At the McGinn house. Outside she put it at the window,
Yes.
Bear or something.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss?
No, let's end the meeting so Mr. Nugent doesn't have to continue suffering.
I just wanted to discuss Mr. McGinn. The name on his video is Supervisor McGinn, so I didn't know, was there a change in?
Oh!
I just noticed that.
Look at that.
Oh.
I was waiting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty.
Supervisor.
Wow.
I mean, I can fix that if you want. I just,
Yeah, please do.
There,
Because
what
I
happened?
might wake up with a horse's head in my bed.
Oh, wow. Mike, I got your back, Mike. Don't worry.
Thanks. I know you too, big guy. Thanks.
I got your back, pal.
Yeah, you better look out.
So nothing else from me.
Nothing else then. I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good night,
Thanks, Mary
Monroe.
Ellen. Thanks,
Good night,
Val.
everyone.
Thanks,
Good night,
everybody.
everyone.
Be safe.
Good night, Mr. Nugent.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Supervisor McGinn.